Hi, everybody. Sorry to be gone for a bit. I've been busy observing the changes that have been taking place in the atmosphere in these past many days and wondering what to say about it. And many, many things have occurred to me as I could sense so much bubbling up and observing the numbers growing in terms of the numbers of people getting the virus, the numbers of people dying, the growing panic in the atmosphere, the desire of so many people to get back to a normal life, to get back to their jobs, to get back. And back is not a word that we should actually be using. It's forward, getting. And I thought, what is it that I could say that would be of any help? And what occurred to me, and I hope this will be helpful, I was reminded that a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure to walk part of the Camino, the walk across Spain to the Cathedral of Santiago. And I had a marvelous insight walking this ancient pilgrimage. I mean, it's 1,000 years old and many, many miles long, 1,000 miles and 800 miles across the north of Spain. And then you can go through France and you could go many ways to this cathedral. And it was a pilgrimage that started after the Crusades, and now it's very popular. And it was on my bucket list to walk this. So I have my Camino Sisters, Beth and Alice and Janet, and we started to walk this before I did a workshop. And we didn't have all that long a time, unfortunately, and we were going to go back to finish it this April, but the virus interfered. At any rate, during the time we did have, the path of the Camino goes through the forests and it goes through towns, and it starts in the Pyrenees and it goes through villages, and you're following these little pilgrim shells that tell you where to go, and sometimes it takes you through cities and you just keep walking because place is built around it. Excuse me. And when you're walking through towns, you're actually walking sometimes on a sidewalk or on a path right next to a sidewalk. And there's the town, but you're on this Camino path with so many other people who are also walking this path alongside of you or in front of you. And it's not like 1,000 people, but, those that are on it are obvious. They're carrying backpacks and they're all going in the same direction. And the people that you pass or end up sitting next to for a break, everybody talks to you. And everybody says, blessed Camino to you, blessed walk to you. And we're all going in the same direction. And one day, on this walk, while we were walking through a town, I stepped off the sidewalk. And now we were on the Camino path through the town, and I just stepped off the sidewalk, just 1 inch off the sidewalk. And now I was in the town area, off the energy of the Camino. And nobody said blessed anything to you. They were just going about their everyday life, walking this way and that way. And then I took a step and I was back on the Camino, and everybody was walking the same way and smiling and saying, blessed Camino to you, blessed walk, smiling. Everybody knew where we were going. Everybody was walking the same way. And then I would do it again, and I'd jump off the path. And I was into the energetic chaos of ordinary life, and then I would jumped back on. And we were walking together again. And I realized that this was like a tunnel of grace. This 1,000-year walk was a tunnel of grace, having been walked by how many countless pilgrims, all on this walk toward God, all on this pilgrimage, all on this walk of faith toward this church, all on this walk toward, with some prayer in their heart, some reason. It was a walk of transformation. It was a walk of hope. It was a walk for a reason. Something in their life they wanted to change. Something had happened that made them go on this search. They were looking for some kind of grace to take their life from one state to another. They were filled with hope. They started out with some prayer of desperation or some prayer of transformation, that they were convinced on this walk somehow, by slowing their life down, by leaving behind the way their life was, and by slowly walking into the unknown, that by the time they ended this journey, something in their life would change. No matter where we stopped to talk, somebody came out and said, "Welcome, welcome, pilgrim. Welcome, come in, have coffee, sit, talk." I met one man, and he was talking that he had walked the Camino the first time when he found out his son was diagnosed with a terminal illness. He left his business. He didn't know what to do in his desperation, so he walked the Camino with a prayer in his heart. "You have to help me. I don't know what else to do. I don't know who to turn to." So he did a pilgrimage, willing to give up everything, but not his son. And as we spoke, this young man walked out of the little cafe, this little coffee house, and it was his son. It was his son. And he said to him, "Now go on, I'll catch up with you." And his son had been healed. And he said, "Now I need to teach him what walking in faith is all about." And so I walk behind him now. And that was one of so many stories of meeting these people. I sat next to one person. He was peeling an orange. And he said, "Do you want some?" And I said, "Sure, I'll share your orange." And he said, "I don't have any other food, but I'll share this with you. I don't have any other food, but I'll share this with you." And I'm sure he wasn't starving, but I have no doubt that if he were hungry, he would have shared that orange anyway. We were all walking the same way. I have no idea if the people I met were billionaires, millionaires, or poverty-stricken. It didn't matter. Nobody wore that badge of economic anything on them. But all of us had faith, and we were all walking. And some people were Buddhist. Some people had no particular allegiance to any religion. They just believed that something greater than us was governing their life. And so we were walking in that direction. We were walking in the direction toward something greater than me is governing my life. And I think that is how we have to walk toward the direction that something greater than us is governing our life. no matter what we see in this present moment, no matter how difficult it is in this present moment, that something greater than us is governing our life. Heaven is not a logical place, and life is not logical. And I have had so many conversations in my life, so many, in which someone will say, how can God do this? How can God do that? And always the person is presenting to me a crisis of some sort, in which something has happened to them that they cannot explain, and they want it explained. And I wonder, what is it about human nature that they think that the nature of the divine is logical, reasonable, legal? You know what I need? I need a Kleenex. I should have come prepared. That the nature of the divine is logical and reasonable, and a legal structure that organizes life around our schedules and our needs. And surely, we think, you see, we need to pay the rent. We need to pay the mortgage. We need to feed the children. And yes, that is all the truth. But the nature of the divine is also a miraculous nature, a mystical one, in which that which is unreasonable, that which cannot be explained, is characteristic of the nature of God. The task of caring for each other, of feeding each other, of looking after each other, is our task. That is what we are going to be called to do. How we care for each other in this transition is actually going to test us. It's not going to test the divine. It's going to test us. I had to take my dog to the vet the other day, 2 days ago. On my way home, driving down a familiar street in Chicago, I passed 11 homeless people. 11. A woman, was standing on a street, and we've all become accustomed to men usually standing by the traffic and between cars holding up signs, "Help me." But I rarely see a woman. This woman was standing there, and her body was the sign. She had been beaten, a victim of abuse. I quickly grabbed money from my wallet and I gave it to her. And I knew, obviously, that the look on her face was thank you. She screamed, "Thank you." I knew that maybe I fed her for a day and it didn't change her life, but I don't know what kind of hope, that help, I don't know. That I am reminded of the many stories of people shared with me when I wrote Invisible Acts of Power, who were homeless and said, "I'm not homeless today because someone gave me hope." Not because of all the money they gave me, because someone gave me hope, and someone said, "I'll pray for you." And I cannot pass a homeless person without giving them hope, something, and a prayer. This is what we have to do for each other. This is what we have to do for each other. And I learned through that. I learned through these people that except for the grace of God go I, but it could be me. It could be me. And I have no doubt that every one of those people never expected to find themselves in that position. Never. And so, as we are all walking down this road together, we have to think, at any time, I may need to share an orange with somebody, and I need to be prepared to do that. I realized when I was walking the Camino, I saw people carrying very heavy backpacks. And I could not do that. I don't have a frame for that. I don't have the strength in my body to carry that kind of weight. And I could never, ever carry 60 or 70 pounds on my back. I just couldn't do it. But I could carry 60 or 70 extra pounds of emotional weight in my heart. Yeah, I could do that. And I could carry a lot more weight in my soul. I could carry someone's emotional burden in me. I could do that. I could carry someone's spiritual crisis in me. I could do that. I'm built for that. I have that kind of stamina. I absolutely do. And so if I had to sit with someone and say, give me that burden, I will pray that away for you. I could do that. I absolutely could. I'm built like titanium. So I could pray for others. And I know that in the moment, someone may not see the impact of prayer. I get that. I get that they can't see it, but I can. I can. I'm built for that. And I know what that does. And I have the faith to hold that for those who do not. And I can do that. And I know in the moment that may not feel like much for someone. But I know what it does. So as we're walking down that road, and I think of these stories now that are coming of people who are terrified because they cannot pay their rent. None of us can pay all their rent. None of us can pay all their rent. None of us can do all of that for everybody. Let me continue. I got a bit disrupted. Forgive me. Let me close by saying that we have been in preparation within ourselves and within this whole journey of transformation for a long time to discover our capacity to influence our reality, to take charge, to create a world that maybe we've envisioned, but we haven't really put our shoulders into. We haven't really gone after with the force of our soul the way we now can. I mean, if you've ever imagined stopping and starting all over again, that's what we have the opportunity. This is the opportunity we've been given. It didn't come in the way we thought. But if you look through history, the way it's come before has been through wars. That's what World War II did. It flattened Europe. It flattened the world. And it started over again. The world is going to start over again. And we have the opportunity to make it a more humane place where we look and say, no, we need health care for everybody. We need a more balanced, humane system. We need a more honorable government. We need people to come first. We don't get to that place without a crushing transformation. And we also need to know how awaken that power in ourselves. As overwhelming as it is for each person, at the same time, it is this experience in which we discover how truly empowered we are that we didn't know about. You don't discover you can heal until you're sick. You don't discover how ingenious you are till you need that. You don't discover that you really influence your reality until you need to do that. Next week, I start my class on teaching you about your power, and the journey of your own empowerment, how it moves in stages, how you're meant to move one stage at a time in discovering the nature of your own power, how it unveils itself in you one stage at a time. This is your moment for that. So that when you are sitting around and thinking, I don't know what to do next, by habit, you're going to turn to your history. By habit, when in fact, that part's gone. And you have to get through the rattling of your fear in this moment and start to consider only what's in front of you and what's within you, and learn to listen to guidance that's going to direct you in ways you've never considered before, because all you can consider is what's in front of you. There is nothing behind you. Heaven only works with what's in front of you. And that's how heaven makes miracles happen. God in your blood and bones, the nature of organic divinity. So, never, ever underestimate the power of a prayer or the power of faith. So when you close your eyes, what you say is, God, hover over me. And always, I don't know where you are, I don't know what you're up to, but just pour some grace into my system now, because I need it, and make it some real serious badass grace, because I am in need of some guidance now. And that's how you pray. Pray as though you're crazy. Pray as though you expect that power to show up right now, and it does. Don't expect the outside world your books to start flying off the shelf. The way grace works is it settles your inside like an antacid. It calms you down. You take a deep breath, and somehow a thought will occur to you, maybe an hour later, maybe 2 hours later. Even you'll forget that you even said a prayer, and then something occurs to you. That's how heaven works. That's how heaven works. Always. Always, I promise you. Okay. Blessings on all of you.